possible, whatever time zone you are on. So appreciate you guys joining. We already did introductions, but just want to remind you, please don't hesitate to ask any questions throughout this presentation. Paige here will be monitoring the chat box. So if anything pops up, don't hesitate. But again, we will have time at the end to go over questions. So to give you a little background on Clark, so we are run by a nonprofit called Secure Ed, and Clark is our product. And as Michelle mentions, we are a repository for free cybersecurity curriculum. No, that's not a gimmick. It is free. There's no hidden costs. Our mission here is to help educators help educate the future cybersecurity workforce. As we all know, there is a gap between jobs and qualified candidates. So our mission is to start at the source and start educating these students. Clark is built and run by students. We have a content team and a development team, which we'll walk a little bit more later in this presentation on what their involvement is. And then another thing on this slide, I want to shout out to all of our partners. Obviously, since we're a nonprofit, we rely heavily on all these folks in this community, NCyTE in particular, who we've been partnering with for over 5 years. So again, these people are crucial to our success and continuing to grow. So who is Clark? So Clark, unfortunately, is not a person as much as we'd like to think they are, but it is an acronym. Clark stands for Cybersecurity Labs and Research Knowledge Base, and it was founded by Dr. Kaza and Dr. Taylor. And Clark just celebrated seventh birthday this past fall, so we're really excited about that. So here's kind of just an overview and a screenshot of what we offer on Clark. So we have curriculum of all different levels, as you can see here, starting at the elementary school level. So K through 12, undergraduate, graduate, of all different kinds of topics. Here on the right, you can see, I'm not sure if this is blocking the review or not. Okay. Oh, oops, sorry. Hold on. I'll go back. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure.
And then select your tab again. Okay.
Thanks. So here on the right, you can see a number of some of our most popular topics. And our curriculum is not just syllabus. It's full interactive curriculum that you can use in the classroom, from PowerPoints to labs to quizzes. Again, it's very interactive, and I'll talk a little bit more about our content review process next, but we pride ourselves on having high quality, classroom ready curriculum. And one thing I want to mention, I will be doing a demo later in this presentation of Clark. I'll walk you through on how to browse and find and download curriculum, as well as how you can contribute. So here on the right, you can see, so we offer all different lengths of curriculum, anywhere from, an hour lesson, which we call a nano module, all the way up to a full course, which is 15 weeks worth of material. So again, when we navigate through Clark, you'll get a better understanding of what that looks like. And then to dive a little bit more deeper into our content review process. So we get curriculum almost on a weekly basis at this point that comes through, that goes through a very extensive review process from our team of students here. Anything you can imagine, obviously your typical spelling and grammar checks, formatting, making sure there's no broken links, all the way up to a technical review, making sure the code is accurate. Like I said, and I'll keep saying, we want this curriculum to be classroom ready. A teacher can come in, download it, and immediately start using it in their classroom. So we really pride ourselves on our extensive content review process. It's important and crucial to keeping quality curriculum on Clark. Anything? Okay, next slide. So everyone always asks, who is Clark? But no one ever asks, how is Clark? Well, Clark is doing great. Currently, we have over 1,700 released learning objects submitted by faculty all over the US. We have almost 57,000 plus downloads and 14,000 users. These numbers are continuing to grow, and we're really excited. All of us are really passionate about what we do here at Clark. We really do feel like we may not be making a huge difference, but we may be part of the small piece of the puzzle here. So again, we're excited to keep watching these numbers grow as more people add curriculum and more people use curriculum. So what is available on Clark? So first I want to highlight the NCyTE collection. I'm not sure if you wanted to jump here and introduce them, but
Yep. So we do host most of the curriculum through NCyTE, and we've had an amazing partnership with them to get a lot of the material that is on really high need topics. Their critical infrastructure course, which I think we're going to highlight next, is one of the only ones that we have right now on critical infrastructure. And it's very important for us to get this type of material out to educators across the US, as this is becoming even more important as we start highlighting different types of cyber threats that have been occurring across the United States, especially post-pandemic. So all of these are available, free to download. They have really amazing activities associated with all of them. And one of the things we'll highlight also as we kind of move along is that all of these have specified learning outcomes. And this is one of the unique elements of the curriculum hosted on Clark. All of these materials have learning outcomes built using Bloom's taxonomy. So these are very easy to use in your classroom. If you need to just pull one or pull all of it to start teaching any of these topics, you can do that here. And this is one of the best courses that we love to highlight because it really showcases the good curricular development that we have within our community.
And just to touch a little bit more upon that. So within the NCyTE collection, we have over 75 learning objects, and 3 of those are courses, which one of them being the critical infrastructure security course, which I'll show you a little bit more in detail on the next slide here. So this is what users will see when they come to Clark, when they pull up a specific curriculum lesson. And again, I'll keep saying this, but when I show you the demo, I'll walk you through a little bit more on how to find this and how to download it. But here, as you can see, this is a course. And so how we also too, and I can get more into detail when I'm on the website, but when we get full courses on Clark, we like to structure it in a hierarchy with parent and children. That way it's easy to navigate, easy for faculty to pick and choose and download certain things. So it's not all too much in one spot. And again, I'll show you that visually a little bit later on. And then here on the right, this is how we track our usage. So as you can see, this course has 62 saves and 81 downloads. That way we can see how many people are actually downloading this curriculum. And then another cool feature we have is if you look at the stars, we've given people access to be able to review curriculum. So this we have found extremely insightful and helpful, especially when users leave very thoughtful reviews and very detailed in terms of how they're using the curriculum, what they like about the curriculum, maybe what they would even change about the curriculum. So this is a feature that we're starting to see being used a lot more, and it's very helpful for us and for other users. So yeah, again, we'll navigate this a little bit more in the demo, but just want to give you a screenshot of what people see when they come into Clark and select a curriculum. So now we want to talk about some new and emerging curriculum on Clark. So this little Spanish minion will make a little bit more sense in a minute here, but just hold on tight. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with Gen Cyber. So Gen Cyber is one of our other really big collections that we have on Clark. This is all K through 12 curriculum that's funded by the NSA and NSF to teach cyber at the elementary school, middle, and high school level. I'm really biased, but this is some of my favorite curriculum. It is super creative and very fun. Most of the lessons are about an hour lesson that are extremely easy to use in a classroom. They're so well formatted. And again, I'll say it again, but they are the most creative curriculum I've ever seen. So we're really excited to host Gen Cyber on Clark. And every summer, we always get a big batch of this curriculum after all the Gen Cyber camps have been hosted. So this continues to grow, and we love this initiative. So, And then this is where the Spanish minion comes into play. So another thing, and I'll keep saying the word excited, but we're really excited about having some bilingual curriculum on Clark. So this in particular is a Gen Cyber lesson by Lois Palin from University of Maryland. I'm not going to pretend, I'm not going to even try to read this lesson to you. I don't want to butcher anything, but again, we are so excited about these bilingual learning objects coming through. We also have some potential Korean learning objects coming down the pipeline, which is really exciting. So again, this just helps us increase our outreach and give more people the opportunity to educate in different languages, which is awesome. Some other curriculum that is up and coming, as Mike mentioned before, is cyber and healthcare curriculum, and also AI curriculum. As we all know, that is the hot topic right now. So those are on the horizon and coming soon. So now Paige is going to walk through how we do mappings and how that works.
So one element of curriculum is alignment. Being able to align to various curricular standards and guidelines was one of the key elements of Clark when it was first built. We want this curriculum to be usable, and part of that is being able to use it for things like designation and accreditation, or if you're trying to now do competencies, if you're working within the CAE community. And these are really important to us to be able to align our curriculum with the needs of the workforce that we're trying to prepare our students for. So we have the ability to map, that's what we call it, or align our various learning objects or the pieces of curriculum we have to various standards. So here's just an example of if you are teaching a Gen Cyber camp and you are aligning to the concepts, you can go ahead and align that curriculum. And what's really great about this is that if you are coming in and let's say you need to find something to fulfill a CAE KU, or you need to find a Gen Cyber concept to teach within your camp, you can search for that on Clark, and we can show you that during the demo a little bit later. But the big benefit here is also being able to find all of the different topics that are being taught under these and making sure that they're aligning with what the workforce is really starting to look for. So that's why we're really excited to have not only NICE, but also the Department of Defense's workforce framework that they continually update. And we also work to keep this continually updated within Clark. So I know NICE 1.0 just came out, and that will be available very soon within Clark. And we're going to be working with authors that have aligned curriculum to these different guidelines and standards to get those up to date with the newest ones as well. So our curriculum is continuously evolving, not only as we as academics are evolving, but also as our workforce is. And that's something we really believe here, and guidelines and standards is just one way that we kind of showcase the various pieces of curriculum within Clark. One other thing that makes us very unique, and I think Leah has already touched on this a little bit, is that it's completely free. All of the materials that you see on Clark, I know I've been dropping a couple of links in the chat, but anything that you find within Clark, you are free to download and use really however you'd like, as long as you're going to attribute it back to the original creator. And this is because we use the Creative Commons non-commercial share-alike license. And one piece, and as I've started to learn how to teach and be a teacher over the past several years, is that I can come into Clark, and if I find, let's say, a lab that I really like, but I only like maybe the first couple of questions, I'm not a big fan of the essays, and maybe I want to use my own, you can do that. If you find 2 questions that you like, a network diagram, maybe one lab on secure coding, you don't have to use the whole thing. I know for me, I do not like to recreate the wheel when it comes to introduction slides. So I really love the fact I can come into like the Intro to Cyber collection on Clark and find really good slides, maybe on like thinking like an adversary or confidentiality or the CIA triad, and just pull that into my class where I need to. And it's really because of this license. And everyone who submits to Clark has to agree to this license. So that way everyone who is downloading can use that license how they need. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to drop it in the chat. But you are free to use 1 slide, 4 slides, 15 weeks worth of slides, all the labs or none of the labs. It's really up to you. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this license.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to start walking you through how to use Clark, browsing curriculum, downloading curriculum, as well as how you can contribute. So you can access Clark by just clark.center. And if you aren't already registered on Clark, you don't even need a .edu. You can use any email to be registered. And then once you register, all you should do is verify your email. You have to do this in order to be able to download curriculum and also contribute. So bear with me. All right. So this is our beautiful homepage. And the first thing I want to call out here is up here at the top, you'll see this little bar. This is about regarding our office hours. So we host office hours every other week. And if you click here on this link, that will show you when they are. This is a great opportunity. If you have any questions later on that you're maybe looking for a specific topic, or maybe you need help uploading your curriculum, this is a great time to join those office hours. Someone on the team will be there to answer and help you in any way they can. So definitely please utilize this if you have any questions in the future. So like I said, this is our homepage, and first I'm just going to show you how to browse. So obviously you can first just use the search box here. If there's any keywords or any really specific curriculum that you want to search, you can just use that right there. You also can browse by topics. These are some of our popular topics that we have on Clark. And then here is where we host our collections. As I mentioned, this is where NCyTE and Gen Cyber. So these are all grant funded curriculum that you can browse through as well. So I'm going to show you how to get to the NCyTE's infrastructure security curriculum that I was just mentioning. So we're going to go into the NCyTE collection. Again, this is just the homepage for the collection with some featured curriculum, and then we'll hit browse collection. And then here on the left, here's where you can use some filters to better search within a collection. So in this case, I want to try to find that course. So I'm going to go to length and hit course. And here's my critical infrastructure security course that I want to find. So I'll click in there. So again, this is what all users will see when they open up a curriculum. It basically tells you the title, the description. These are the learning outcomes with the mappings that Paige mentioned. Academic levels, like you can see this one is for undergraduate. And then here are all of the materials and links that relate to this course. So one thing I want to point out here, so as I mentioned before, especially when we get big, dense, course-heavy curriculum, we really like to host it in a parent-children hierarchy. Again, because as you can see here, there's so much material just dedicated just to the highlight of this course. And then within this course, there's 12 children. And even all of those children have, as you can see, tons of materials. So that way it's easier to navigate. And so not all is just in one. It's still all nicely organized, but again, easier to navigate and pick and choose what you are looking for. So let's say you have gone through all those materials down there and they all seem great. If you just hit that download now button, it will put it into one zip file. If you don't want all of that, then you can just go into every individual one and download as you please. We have everything in Word documents for a reason. That way you can cut and paste, like Paige said, use a little, use a lot, use all. Again, we try to make it shareable, usable, as easy as possible. And then again, and you'll understand when I walk you through how to contribute, how all these things come about. But another thing to note here, you'll always see a date. This is when this curriculum was last either released or updated. And I'll talk a little bit later in our presentation about how that is important to us because we are going through a relevancy review process. So just note there as well. And then again, here is where you can review the learning object. So now I want to show you how you can contribute. So see this nice little button right here, right next to your username. You'll hit contribute. And here's where you can create a learning object. So you'll hit this blue button right here that says create a learning object. And one thing to point out is it's basically kind of like an application form. You cannot move on to the next step unless you've completed all of the entries in here. And I'm just going to go through and just kind of do some tests writing in here. So this is where you put the name of your learning object. Here is where who is the author of this learning object. So when you start typing your name, you'll see it auto-populate. And also too, if there's multiple authors on a learning object, you also can add as many authors as you can, whoever contributed to that curriculum. Here's where you pick how long. We structure it as a nano module, micro module, module, unit, and course. And then academic levels. You can pick multiple, you can pick one. It just depends on what that curriculum and who it is for. And here's that description where we ask, a couple of sentences, just really giving an overview of what this course is. Again, just for test purposes, I'm not going to do that. And then as you see, as I fill out all of those areas, now I can move on to the learning outcomes. And as Paige mentioned, we use the Bloomspace method to structure our learning outcomes here. And if I add an outcome, you have three options to choose. So remember and understand, apply and analyze, and evaluate and synthesize. So let's say, for example, you're uploading curriculum that's intro to cyber. This would probably fall into that first bucket. The more high levels, the ones where it's more interactive and maybe we're coding, that kind of can fall into those two buckets. But for testing purposes, we're just going to go and pretend we're doing intro to cyber course. So once you click on one of those three boxes, then you are given an option of verbs. Again, it's up to your discretion, what you think is best. Here, we'll just say explain. Excuse me, let's go back. And the good thing about our website, it's very intuitive. It will save, it's easy. It's hard to mess anything up. You could always go back and edit. So as you can see how I just messed up. So, all right. Okay, gotcha. Explain cybersecurity fundamentals. Again, you can have one, you can have multiple. And then as you're putting in your learning outcomes, you can see over here are your suggested mappings. You can use, these are just suggested. And then here is where you could search. So let's say, you're teaching a Gen Cyber concept. You can type in Gen Cyber, and then there are your options where you can map it to your learning outcome. And the next step is materials. This is where you'll upload all of your materials. So on the right, you'll see, and I'm not going to bore all of you, but here are some instructions on how to upload videos in large files up here on the right. But again, upload all of your files and folders here, any necessary URLs. And then once you've done that process, and again, I'll say this again, it's very easy and intuitive, but if you have any questions while you're doing this, definitely don't hesitate to, try to join our office hours at one point or email us. We'll have our contact information at the end of this presentation. So then you're going to submit for review. So this is just a little checklist to make sure you've checked everything. And then submission reason. This is for, let's say you're submitting curriculum that was funded by a grant. This is where people would put that. If it's not, just leave it blank and continue on. And then here is our authorization checklist. So these are things that we're asking you to give us permission to do. The reason we do this is because we want to speed up the process and we want to release your learning object as soon as possible. And we don't want any of these things to hold us up. But again, if you're not comfortable with any of these, please feel free to uncheck them. But they're pretty basic, for example, converting PDFs to Word documents, changing spelling and grammar. Again, if there's something major, let's say a broken link, or there's it's apparent that there's missing material, we will reach out to you. We will not release anything that we don't think is complete. So again, these are just some minor revisions that our team can make, that you're giving us permission to again, expedite the process here. So you'll hit continue. Here is where you can pick if it's a part of a certain collection. Let's say it's a part of NCyTE. Submit for review. Then it will go to our team and it will go through a review process, as I mentioned before, and you'll get a notification once it's been released. Again, we have a big team here that works very diligently, if I can speak today. And we get, we work on things as quickly as possible. So that is Clark. We like to think it's very easy to use and easy to download and easy to contribute. Thanks to Paige and her amazing team for it being that way. So let me go back to the presentation. Unless there was something else you want to add.
And just one other thing to add, contributing to Clark also provides you insights into how your curriculum might be used. Once it gets released, you saw on the slides that Leah showed before that there's like a download count and a saves count. You get access to that as an author. One other benefit is the rating system that she mentioned before. Once it's released, people can leave reviews and ratings. I know I have one thing published on Clark and I've gotten a few comments on how to make my lesson better. And I think it's not only made the learning object better, obviously to share with all of you, but I think it's also helped my teaching as well. Because I can kind of look at it through a different lens. And all of this is also available on a public profile. I know I have it on my LinkedIn and I have it on my resume as well, so that if I'm going and talking to colleagues or different groups, it's really easy for me to say, hey, I have this piece of curriculum I was just talking to you about that works really well in my class. Feel free to go and download it. So Clark is also an easy way for you to share that curriculum instead of maybe getting lost in a bunch of email threads with different people looking for that really awesome thing that you might be teaching to your students. So that's just one benefit of becoming an author on Clark, on top of also working with Leah's awesome team to get all of your stuff available and publish ready.
All right. So like I mentioned, easy to use, easy to upload. So what is Clark up to? So Clark doesn't really take vacations. So what is Clark doing? We are currently going through a relevancy review process for all of our 2018 and 2019 curriculum. So we are making sure, I mean, as you all know, we're in an ever-changing world where technology changes every day, and especially as it pertains to cyber. So we want to make sure, as I keep saying, we pride ourselves on having high quality classroom ready curriculum. So we want to make sure it's relevant. So we're going through all of these curriculum. As you can imagine, there's some topics that need more updates than others. And that being said, we've reached out to the authors of these curriculum to start providing updates for us. Another initiative we're doing is we are putting it out to the community. We have the ability to start offering micro grants for anybody who may be interested. Paige will drop the link in the chat. It's just an application. There's a couple of topics that we're definitely looking for example, secure coding, reverse engineering, malware analysis. Again, but we have a couple other curriculum that we're looking for as well. We thought, why not put it out to the community, and also you guys can get compensated for it. This is an ongoing process. Yes, we're just doing 2018 and 2019, but this is something we'll continue to do as we want to make sure everything is relevant and up to date. So again, our mission is, our tagline is securing the nation through education. We're all really passionate about what we do here, and it's already hard enough to be a teacher, and putting together a curriculum can be a beast. So we're here to make it easier for you. And we hope that you guys will check us out, use our curriculum, and hopefully contribute as well. But yeah, that's what we got for you today, and we can open up the floor to questions. And again, thank you guys for your time. Like I said, we're passionate about this project and excited about the future and what's to come.
I saw one question in the chat. I'm going to jump in and answer here on the call about the sample syllabus for CAE competency components. We currently have a few learning objects within the let me make sure I get this right. The max power collection, that if you look in the notes, there is a couple of competencies. They're not as up to date with the current version that's going to be used for redesignation, but there's a few in there. But we also work very closely with the competencies initiative, and the Clark team is also building what is called the competency constructor. So we also have that available. If you look at the tools drop down in Clark, and Leah's going to help me out here. It's on the homepage. Yep. If you wanted to take a look at the competency constructor, it's the last option there. And then if you look at the library, general information. Yep. You can see some competency statements that are working there, and you can get to that all through Clark. So I just wanted to answer that question really quick.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
I have one question. I mean, you guys have a lot of information and stuff that's going on. How does somebody like keep, I mean, is there a way to, when you say stay in touch, do you have like a rolling newsletter or items out on your web where you post information of changes and opportunities at Clark?
Yep, absolutely. So we have an amazing marketing analyst who works on our LinkedIn. You can follow us as well as our Facebook and Instagram. But if you are signed up for Clark, you are also automatically opted into our sometimes bi-monthly and sometimes monthly, depending on what curriculum we have released, newsletters that are up to date. There's actually one going to be coming out very soon on some new material that we have available. So if anybody would like to stay in touch, as long as you sign up for Clark, you're automatically opted into those, but you can also always choose to not get those if you don't want to.
But yeah, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So definitely follow us because there will always be updates on all of those three platforms. And in those platforms, we always highlight new curriculum that's been released, highlighting certain authors. So again, we're doing multiple posts a month. So
And you mentioned that you're looking for certain topics you might have some gaps. So how do you push that out there in the newsletter as well? Like we're looking for topics in these areas to teach?
Yes, anytime that we are seeing a new or emerging topic, we do also work very closely with the cybersecurity curriculum task force. So that's also run here out of Towson University by Dr. Kaza and Dr. Taylor. So we get to work with them on finding the newer curriculum that we need. Some of the recent ones in the past year have been IoT security, autonomous vehicles, healthcare, and of course, our favorite, AI. So we have a lot of AI curriculum coming in, especially now with the Cyber AI KUs and the Cyber AI program of study that will be available within the next year. And we're going to actively work to get material that aligns to those KUs onto Clark. And they're actually already available. If you wanted to take a look at what those KUs are, you can kind of go to the guidelines and find those as well on Clark. And then, did you want to take that question? Yes.
I'm going on mute, so you stay with it.
So you want me to mute?
Yeah.
So I'm going to answer the partnership question. And so I think partnerships, there you go. So as far as the partnerships are concerned, these partners, NCyTE is a great example where most of our partners are organizations, centers, grants that are contributing not just their curriculum, but sometimes supporting Clark financially as well with a singular goal, which is making sure that there is great curriculum on Clark and it is always available for free to the entire cyber education community, and not just for that grant, not just for that center. So all of these partners are really contributing curriculum to Clark. So that is what is really meant by the partnership aspect. But having said that, we always welcome curriculum to be contributed to Clark, as Leah pointed out, and got us through the process of how to contribute. And in the end, there was a question on which collection do you want to contribute to? And I think and Cyber Heroes is a collection there, which really allows you to contribute your curriculum to Clark for the benefit of the community. Most of us cannot actually contribute directly to the NCyTE collection because many of these collections have their own review criterias and they build their own curriculum. NCyTE is a great example where a lot of the curriculum that comes to Clark has already been funded by NCyTE outside of Clark, has already gone through review by NCyTE outside of Clark, and then it ends up in Clark. So I would encourage partnership by contributing to Clark through the Cyber Heroes collection. I would encourage partnership also by spreading the word on Clark and using it yourself, and certainly following our social media, and maybe even talking about the good piece of curriculum that you found on Clark for your colleagues. And rating. Paige is prompting me on the side and telling me that I would also encourage partnership by rating curriculum that you're using. And we mentioned in the chat also, if you find things that are that you're contributing to the curriculum that make it much better, then we encourage you to really use the Creative Commons license and contribute a new version of that curriculum that is significantly enhanced with attribution to the original author, which is what makes all of this grow. Those are the easy ways to partner with Clark. Another interesting way, of course, is a partnership of the kind that NCyTE has. And I don't know, Michelle, Michael, who all are on the call here, but certainly if your institution would like to partner with Clark in a way that NCyTE has, where their curriculum lies on Clark, and we have a financial partnership with NCyTE as well, we encourage you to reach out to us to support Clark. Everything that contributes financially to Clark helps sustainability long-term of a repository that is helping the entire community. So we do encourage, if you do have that in mind, if that was the line of your questioning, please do reach out to any one of us and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. I just would reemphasize those same points. So thank you, Sid. Yes. So please don't hesitate to reach out. NCyTE pushes a lot of ask for feedback and surveys need in the community. So please reflect that in your responses there, because we pivot based on that need. And so, yes, encourage you to reach out if you have an idea about partnership and improving, please let us know.
Hey, Sid, I have a question for you and Paige. Do you have any statistics on how our partners from other countries are using Clark? I know
That's a good question, Michael.
Well, from last November, we've gotten nothing but a lot of requests. Can they have access to Clark? Can they contribute? Can they use? And we're getting the same thing
we
from
have
Australia
access,
now.
as long as they share their institution with us, we do have that ability. I know, I think we're talking about England and all of that. We have several people from Oxford and Cambridge that are within our system, and they actually download quite a bit, which is very exciting to see. We also have people from not only just the continental United States, but also from Guam and Puerto Rico as well. We have several people from Canada. I know there's a question before. Yes, everyone is welcome to sign up for Clark and use the materials that are available there. So we do have several people use that, and some of our actually top downloaders are from Oxford and Cambridge.
That's good to hear, because now we got the Australian folks and New Zealand folks that have the same questions. They want to again contribute and use. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, and thanks, Mike, for bringing that up. So for those that don't know, NCyTE did do some outreach and engagement with the UK, and so we've established, and Canada, and we've more recently, I think, Portugal right? And so we're expanding our International Cybersecurity Education Collaborative. There's more information about that on our website. I'll drop the link to that information page in the chat. But from that ICEC for short, there are several special interest groups. One is on diversity, one is the industry special interest group, and the other is innovation in the classroom. So innovation in the classroom particularly ties well with this initiative and developing and enhancing that curriculum and content. So the more minds and creativity and the better curriculum and that we'll have to empower those educators out in the field. So I will drop that in the chat. Yep. There we go.
Any other questions? Going once. Well, if not, we really appreciate all of your guys' time, especially on a Friday morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Please check us out. Use the curriculum however you like, contribute some curriculum, and don't forget about those office hours, and don't hesitate to reach out to us. So again, appreciate all of your all's time, and we hope everyone has a great weekend.
Thank you.
And thanks again for attending our NCyTE monthly meeting. And thank you, Paige and Leah, for giving us a great presentation and insight to the Clark Center. It's a great tool. We do promote it a lot, and I appreciate you highlighting our collection. So I dropped the link in there. I'm going to drop it in again for the survey. And I hope everybody's able to, oops, I dropped Michelle's link in there. I apologize, but I'll put that, here we go. So please let us know how we're doing. It's really important for us, like I say, keep our NSF evaluator busy, but we really want your input so that we continue to have these engaging conversations. I made a list of all the links that we have out today, so I'll throw those out on our website and I'll send a follow-up email to everybody. Our recording will be out there probably early next week. So have a great weekend. Thank you guys again. And it's been NCyTE monthly Friday meeting. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Great presentation, by the way.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you to the Clark
So
Center
much.
folks and Townsend.
Thank you so much.
Yesterday.
Where were you yesterday?
No, computer science. Like into